All right, thank you all for coming. We have a lot to do tonight. It's going to be a busy night. As you know, it's Meet the Candidates night. We're fortunate to have Mr. Trupia here to help us get through this. One of the first things, of course, I'd like to thank you all for coming. And let me just go through a quick roll call of the officers and board of the Ronkonkoma Civic. I'm Bruce Edwards, the president. Eileen Panico is vice president. Maureen McDonald is a director. Benny Calderon is our treasurer. Augie Abendanza is a director. And Gail Yurs is our recording secretary. Missing right now is Ted Bashiani, who should be here in a little bit, and also Dan Walsh, who has a family function tonight, couldn't be here. We are actually short a corresponding secretary due to a family situation. Someone had to step back, so we are looking for someone to volunteer as a candidate for that position, and it's something that has to have board approval. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, please let us know. As far as the reading and adoption of minutes, for the minutes today, they are here. If anyone is interested in reading them.
I have copies. Anybody who was at the last meeting, we need someone who was at the meeting to make the motion to approve and second.
And I can also just say that they are online right now for anyone to see. Do we have a motion? We do from Diane. Second?
Lisa's second. You have Diane motion, Gail, and Lisa second.
Okay, thank you. I get to do this. All right. Okay, right now I'd like to, just a quick, as a president's message, we'll try and get through this very quickly. There's just a couple of things that I'd like to go through. One of the things that's very popular right now, and it seems to be going through the neighborhood, and it's a situation all over Ronkonkoma, is the creations of neighborhood watches. And at present, most of them are just online at this point, although we have Mr. Blair, who has the neighborhood watch on the north that seems to have started, and I know he is talking to the police to get started. The other two neighborhood watches are the Neighborhood Watch North and the Lakeland area are basically online now, and we would really like to see that become more of a real function with the police department rather than just an online group. We're going to have the police department speak about neighborhood watches very briefly. And then after that, anyone who's absolutely interested in that should go into the hallway and they can speak. It'll be just a very quick presentation by the police. One of the other issues that was going on in our neighborhood was the traffic study. A lot of people were upset. They suddenly saw people with vests walking around, taking license plate numbers, and it was a good thing, actually, and people shouldn't have been upset. It was something we've been asking for a number of years, and we're fortunate to get the county and Mr. Silmy to work for us and get that done. So it's in the working stages now, something we've really wanted, and it has happened. The other thing that is happening in the neighborhood nearby is fire prevention is coming up. Fire Prevention Week, an open house at the firehouse, Lakeland Fire Department. That'll be Friday, October 16th, 7 to 9. The kids from all the elementary schools are doing posters, and they will bring them down to the firehouse. They do that this week, and at the end of the week, next week, I guess they have a poster contest, and they pick the winners and what have you. It's a really great thing. It's important. And Lakeland has been very supportive of us, and we support Lakeland. Something I just received, and I'm sorry, Diane, I didn't get a chance to tell you, Hector Garcia contacted us from the Long Island Railroad, and Ocean Avenue on October 18th will be closed, the crossing, for 24 hours. They're going to be doing the leveling work there. It's a weekend, so that's the good thing. Pond Road is open. So, well, when they get done, it's supposed to be better than it is now. So we hope that when they get done with all this work, it actually levels out. And my last thing we can get started is our scholarship program. We got Ogie as our scholarship chair, but he's recusing himself from that this year because his child is a senior and may be involved in that. But we are looking for volunteers for the scholarship committee so we can read the entrance and then pick a winner. We give a $500 scholarship to a deserving senior from the Ronkonkoma area, every year. It's been a great thing, and I'm going to throw this over to Benny now as a...
Well, hold on. It comes from it's going to come from the Breakfast with Santa, so it would be nice if you guys support it.
That's what I was going to give to Benny. Okay.
You want me to talk more about that?
Well, yeah, I'm going to, right now, let me pass on to the treasurer's report and Benny.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. So I actually have 3 reports this evening. We have our August 2015 Treasurer's Report, our September 2015. So for the month of August, it was a pretty good month. As many of you know, we had our Lake Fest activities, so we had a lot of deposits. Healthy month for our treasury. It was a great month for the community as well. We had a total of 3,200 in deposits. We had expenses and an ending balance of $7,056.77. The month of September, we had a little bit less in deposits, but we had some raffles, some memberships totaling $420, and we had an ending balance of $7,199. All in all, the Civic Association Treasury is doing very good and very healthy and growing based on the various efforts. The third report is a little bit of, I guess we can say, housekeeping. The bylaws of the organization call for us to present the annual budget in May to the membership to vote on. There was an oversight and it was not presented.
Yeah, it was me.
It was Eileen.
It was me.
So there was an oversight, the budget was not presented. So as a formality, we are presenting the budget tonight. I'm not going to take you through it line by line. There are copies in the back, gray legal paper. If anybody would like to look it over, peruse it if you have any questions. At the end of the evening, we do have to vote on the adoption of the budget. It is 6 months late in doing so, but again, it is a formality, and we apologize for that oversight. If you have any questions, you can let us know. Otherwise, we'll seek a vote at the end of the evening and that's for the fiscal year May 1 through April 30th, 2015 through 2016. Any questions on the treasurer's reports? We need a motion
No,
to...
you just file it.
Just file it. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
You want me to do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got the floor. So, can you guys hear me in the back okay? I want to make sure you guys aren't sleeping up there. So, on December 13th, we have our annual breakfast at Applebee's, which is traditionally known as a flapjack fundraiser. This year, it's known as the Applebee's Breakfast with Santa, because Santa will be making an appearance. We are selling tickets now. We're trying to get a jump on it. So the big joke is, you know, it's not even Halloween yet, and you go into the stores and nobody wants to look at the Christmas decorations yet, and now we're asking you to think about breakfast in December. But it's a great, great event. We're making it a little bit bigger, a little bit larger this year, inviting Santa Claus all the way down from the North Pole. Grandparents, it's a great opportunity for you to bring the kids down. It runs from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You'll be able to take pictures with Santa Claus. Santa Claus may have little free gifts for the kids. You can purchase tickets this evening from any of our board members that have them. You can also purchase tickets online via credit card. From now until December 1st, tickets are $8. After December 1st, they'll go to $10. So it's really a fantastic deal. We're going to have some items for raffle, Chinese auction, 50-50, and a lot of other great things. The key note is, even though Santa Claus is going to be there, the real benefit will come to the Connecticut students that apply and receive the RCA scholarship at the end of the school year. So we hope you'll come out and support us December 13th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Applebee's in Bohemia. And of course, thank you to Applebee's for their support and sponsorship of the event.
Thank you, Ben.
Also, the grandparents, there's a great opportunity for you to take pictures, and then you can put them in your Christmas cards as you send them off to your families with your grandchildren. And also, I think Tom showed me, are you going to be cooking?
You did it to me again, Charles. You did it to me again.
So if we could, we'll jump ahead. We're going to go a little out of order ahead. Tom. We're going to let Tom speak because he has 4 places to go tonight. Everybody else only has 3 places to go. So we're going to give him the head start. So, Tom, if you could give us a few minutes of
Sure.
whatever it is that you do.
That's necessary, but
He didn't show up, but I have to put his name there too. He wasn't able to make it today.
So it's great to be here. Most of you know me. I'm going to try and be very, very brief. You have lots of candidates to listen to, lots of great information. I do want to say with respect to the traffic study that Bruce was talking about, which is ongoing, it's a very complex traffic study, more so than most traffic studies that we do, because of the fact that we're trying to figure out where people are coming from and where people are going. That's a critical part of the outcome, which is what we plan to do with some of the roads after the traffic study. And that's going to be a collaborative process, not only with the County of Suffolk, but with the Civic Association. And I have to say that the town of Islip has been integral in this as well. They were at the table with us right from the start, and the town, Department of Public Works, worked with the County Department of Public Works to develop the scope of this study. The study itself, in terms of what you see visibly, will take another month or so to complete. It won't be as, the activity won't be as robust as what you've seen in the past week or so, but intermittently you'll see some action, and then it'll take several months probably for them to actually put that information together onto paper and deliver it to the county, and then the county and the town have to analyze it along with the Civic, and then we'll progress forward from there. So we'll certainly be in touch, as that happens with any updates. I want to also mention quickly that the county legislature appropriated yesterday $1.5 million for let me say, it's not really repair, but it's some road improvements to Rosevale Avenue, right around where that curve is, up at the north of Lakeland here. It's a dangerous part of the road, as some of you probably know. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing with it. Other than that, I know they plan on creating some sort of a bank, sort of a slope to the road, so that it's not as easily driven off of. But I don't have a time frame for that yet. Again, I will be back in touch and let you know as that proceeds. It's been an absolute pleasure representing Ronkonkoma for the last 5.5 years. I'm running for my 4th term in office. Election day is November 3rd. There are some cards in the back with my ugly mug on them, and a website is there as well. Some of you asked me for lawn signs. I did not bring any with me tonight, but you can either go to my website, and there's a red lawn sign button at the top of the website, which you can click on, and you'll send me an email with your address in there, and one of our campaign volunteers will come and install a lawn sign on your property. Thanks to those of you who have already done that. Diane Matola, who's in the room tonight, raise your hand, Diane, is actually my Ronkonkoma volunteer as far as road signs go. So she, I know, is going to be around for the whole meeting. You can give her your address, or you can do it on my website, either way. Do you have any lawn signs with you in your car by any chance? No. Follow me home. Okay, no, they don't want to follow you. They're going to be getting out of here at like 11 o'clock at night, so I'm kidding, everybody. I'm kidding. In any event, we've done some great things in Suffolk County over the past few years. It's my hope that I have your support and your vote on Election Day to continue the great work that we've done. We've fought for fiscal honesty and responsibility. We fought against extravagant spending and excessive borrowing. We fought for some answers in this terrible problem that we have with heroin addiction. I know many of you who submitted questions tonight submitted questions about substance abuse and heroin addiction and said, what can we do? What are we doing? The mere fact that so many of you submitted questions about that tells me that we're moving forward, because there's an awareness that we didn't have a year ago, certainly that we didn't have 2 years ago. I've been proud to chair a task force on substance abuse for the county legislature, and it's really a problem that has to be attacked from a number of different fronts. Education is paramount, which goes to prevention. Suffolk County spends about $20 million a year on substance abuse prevention and treatment programs. New York State spends about $800 million a year. But on top of the cost, the direct cost associated with prevention and treatment, if you consider the cost of our police department, the district attorney's office, our probation department, the jails, the Sheriff's Department, it goes on and on and on. All of these public safety agencies, the courts, all of these public safety agencies are literally consumed with problems associated with drugs and gangs. And so, in total, if you add up the cost of all of those agencies, it's well over $1 billion a year. If we could take the smallest of bites out of that problem, not only will it save us a tremendous amount of money fiscally, but it would save a hell of a lot of heartache on the part of our families. I've visited with many mothers and fathers who have lost their children to heroin overdoses, who are in the process of losing their children to addiction, and it's got to stop. Education, law enforcement, treatment programs, we have to do. New York State is working on some wonderful programs. Al Graff, your assemblyman, is spearheading an effort this year in the Assembly. The state Senate last year spearheaded a program, and they came up with some great solutions. We passed, or the state Senate and the state legislature passed some excellent legislation aimed at addressing the issue. As part of the task force that I belong to, we literally called every single state senator and every single state assemblyman to advocate for the suite of legislation that the state Senate put together last year. In any event, that's sort of a brief summary of that issue. We have a long way to go, but we're all working on it, and I'm glad to see that you're all in tune to it. My website is on the card. There's plenty of detail on the card. There's plenty of more detail on my website about who I am, what I stand for, the things I've done, the bills I've sponsored, the accomplishments I've had. I'm not going to take up any more of your time, just to say thank you all very, very much for being here and taking the time. Thank you for your support over the past few years, and with your continued support and your vote in November, I will continue to try and to make a brighter future for all of Suffolk County. So thank you all very, very much. So one hand up. We have one hand up, I think.
I was just going to say, Tom, you have my vote because many years ago, the plastic wood factory lot that had been sitting there for 15 years had 3 55-gallon metal drums sitting there. I told you about it. The next time I walked past, they were gone.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Was that fast enough for you guys? Yeah. Unusual. It's unusual, I know.
Before we go any further, I'd like to bring up the 4th and 5th precincts just to give a quick a chat about neighborhood watches, if they both come up. And I really want to thank both of these officers and their commanding officers. These guys have been with us since the beginning. They've come to just about every meeting. Last night there was the ugly truth. They had it right here in this building. It was about heroin, about what Mr. Silmy was talking about. It was a fabulous presentation about a horrible subject. It was put on by the 5th precinct here. The 4th precinct had done that same presentation at Comac High School in February. So they're trying to do this all around and get the word out how horrendous this heroin problem is on Long Island. And really, I thank them for their efforts. They do a great job. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hi folks, I'm Officer McNulty from the 4th Precinct.
I'm Police Officer Eric Bowen, 5th Precinct Code.
I just want to talk to you briefly about Neighborhood Watch. Basically, it's an organized group of citizens devoted to crime prevention within their community. It's an effective crime prevention program. Criminals rely on people not doing anything. So if you have a neighbor, for instance, that is going away for a vacation and they forget to contact the post office to stop their mail, and they forget to cancel the newspapers, and if you see newspapers and mail building up, unfortunately that's an easy target for somebody casing the neighborhood because they see that somebody's not home. So you have to be the eyes and ears for your community. If you see that happening, by all means, just take in the mail, take in the newspapers to kind of help prevent that crime of opportunity.
Police officers cannot be everywhere at once, so any information you can give us is only going to help us to protect our communities. Okay? Being part of the Neighborhood Watch doesn't mean that you have to chase people down, take people into custody. Like my partner said, all we're asking to do is be observant, be our eyes and ears, And if you see something suspicious, the key to this whole program is that you report the suspicious activity to the police department. Okay? Normally, when we start a neighborhood watch program, there's usually a person who's the coordinator, who's looking to get this program going. As well as we look for having captains assigned, okay, just so we can see and try to get as many people involved. The size of the neighborhood watch program could be 1 block, it could be several blocks. Okay, but the larger, the more participation, the more successful it's going to be. If you think this community watch program is something you're interested in, you can contact myself, 5th Precinct Co-op office, as well as the 4th Precinct Co-op office. What we normally do at that point is we will set up a meeting. We could do it at a library, a school, somebody's house, and what we'll do is we'll basically talk to you. We'll show you a DVD with some further information regarding Neighborhood Watch. We try to get you to educate you a little bit to how to recognize suspicious activity as well, and we'll take it from there. If the support is there and we have a lot of involvement, we will then contact the town of Brookhaven, town of Islip. We'll get the signs put up in strategic locations, and we'll get the program going.
Yes, Neighborhood Watch is, your job is really just to observe and report. You don't want to actually actively go after somebody because you don't want to be injured or get hurt. That's the police's, that's our job to investigate, follow up with the crime that happened. Obviously, some other examples is suspicious behavior. If the car's parked down the road from you, hasn't moved in a while, and you see that it just seems kind of strange that this car is parked there. By all means, if you feel that it's suspicious activity, by all means call 911 and we'll certainly follow up with that. If you see a neighbor that's away and contractors by the house and you see somebody removing some copper or removing some items from the house, you may think first, okay, my neighbor's getting work done on his house. But if it raises your level of suspicion, don't hesitate to jot down the license plate, get a description, because in the event your neighbor comes home and it turns out that the house was burglarized, you have some key information that will help us with our investigation.
If you go to our Suffolk County Police Department homepage and click on Community Response, there's also more information regarding Neighborhood Watch. Okay?
There's a helpful video on there as well, SuffolkCountyNewYork.gov, that talks about Neighborhood Watch program.
Anybody have any questions they want to ask quickly about the program that we can maybe answer? Okay? Just also want to mention this month, go ahead.
Do you work with whatever going on in social media, like online groups that are in communities?
We can and we will. Some of the civic associations do have Facebook pages that we do check regularly. We are in communication on a regular basis, even over the phone line, with a lot of the members of the civic associations. We're not opposed to communicating people that do have an online group, if that's what you're asking. Okay. Anybody, any issue, any suspicious activity?
There's a program called Nixle, www.nixle.com. You go on that and you can just find out about what events are going on in your community. If there's road closures or if there's an event that, why are the police in this area? It seems like there's a lot of activity. If you go into the Nixle program, it's an alert network basically, so you can go into that.
Okay. I also want to mention this month's 5th Precinct meeting. Monthly meeting will be held Wednesday, October 14th at 7 o'clock at the 5th Precinct. Okay? I also left some packages up there with some literature describing the Neighborhood Watch program. If you all like to grab one on the way out and read through it, please take that. Okay? Good. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for
your time.
And Mr. Trujillo, we need. Okay. I have a microphone for you guys. You guys can come up. We're going to have the judges speak first. I put them in alphabetical order. Did I? No, I didn't.
Okay, just a word of, just a couple of words before we begin, while we're setting up. Regardless of what happens on November 3rd, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Civic Association and all those tonight to thank each and every one of the candidates who've given up so much of their time and energy in the last few months to consider being a public servant, because from my perspective, that's what you're seeking to be, public servants. And the level of work that it takes to do that, to sacrifice to get to the service capacity is extremely, extremely difficult. And so I want to say thank you, and I think we should all thank them in advance. First up tonight is going to be our judicial candidates for the district court and the family court, but I think it requires a bit of an explanation of why we didn't receive any questions for them. We do elect our judges at the local level, but they are under a strict judicial campaign code of ethics, which precludes them from actually speaking about their particular views on any of the subjects facing the court. So we are going to ask the candidates for the district court first, and then the family court second, to describe their background. What are their qualifications that might help us understand their temperament and qualifications for the office? So we have 4 candidates, I apologize, 4 candidates for the district court. So they're going to introduce themselves. Because we're not going to field any questions, I was going to set a 3-minute limit, but I think we'll kind of forego that and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and if you go a little long, that'll be a signal.
We won't throw anything
Yes, please.
at you from back here, I promise.
Yes. My name's Elizabeth Bloom, and... Is it
There you go.
There you are.
Is that on?
No. Oh, is that...
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, that's better. My name is Elizabeth Bloom, and I'm running for the district court judgeship, which is in the town of Islip. Just to give you, I can pretty much only speak about myself and my qualifications and my experience. I graduated from Toro Law School, which is right up the street here. I was second in my class, and I went to school as a mom. I raised my 2 kids here in the town of Islip, and I still reside in West Islip with my husband. Pretty much from the time I graduated from law school, I worked in the court system. I had the opportunity to work with some fine Supreme Court justices and to really learn the art of being a jurist. I was their law clerk, so I had a very good introduction to the substantive laws, as well as an inside viewpoint into how to really behave in a judicious manner. Currently, I'm a support magistrate in the family court in Nassau County, where I preside over child support and paternity petitions and really anything that deals with support, people who want to enforce support from their judgments of divorce. And I do everything. I do trials, I handle my own calendar, I write my own decisions, I decide my own motions, and I deal with, most times, folks who come in who are represented, represent themselves. Not everybody has an attorney in the family court, so I try to kind of help them navigate the system, which can be a little daunting at times, and many people don't have knowledge of the law, so I have to explain to them and kind of guide them accordingly. From a community standpoint, I am a member of the board of directors of the Friends of Connecticut, which is a not-for-profit organization that is dedicated to the preservation and the restoration of this beautiful park that you folks in Ronkonkoma have pretty much right in your backyard. And we've also been involved with making sure that the railroad work has been done correctly and that there's been responsibility for the environmental aspects in the Lakeland County Park, as well as anything that might flow downstream into the Connecticut River and into the park. So we've been very involved with that as a community group to make sure that that happens in the correct way. In addition, when I was in the family court, I was a member of the task force against gang violence, which was a group of different stakeholders, district attorneys, police, and court staff, trying to figure out how we can kind of get the gang issue dealt with before it starts, and what's the whole premise behind why do people get together for gangs? Why can't we get together for positive and good things rather than try to be adversarial, confrontational, and violent? So there was some programs, pilot programs in Suffolk County Jail, and we were involved in that and monitoring the progress of that and trying to get these folks away from the negative aspects and towards the positive aspects of working together. And I would love to be able to serve as a district court judge in the town of Islip, and I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you at the polls. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you to the Civic Association for hosting this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Robert Sicali. I want to start by thanking you for having me here, having all of us here. I too am running for the position of District Court Judge in the 5th District Court. It covers the town of Islip. I've been a lawyer for the last 21 years. I've spent my entire life in the town of Islip. I grew up in Islip Terrace, and I live in East Islip now. I graduated law school from St. John's University in 1993. I've had about 21 years of law experience since then, and I've done a lot of things in my career, a lot of different roles. I started as a public defender with the Legal Aid Society. I was there for about 5 years, and from that time on, I've had the privilege of doing a lot of different things in the profession. I've been a solo practitioner, I've been part of a law firm, I've been a prosecutor, I've been a principal law clerk in the New York State Supreme Court part here in Central Islip. And for the last 4 years, I've had the privilege of being the town attorney for the town of Islip. I spent a lot of my career in the town. I was an assistant town attorney from 1998 until 2008. I served prior, briefly, as town attorney under a prior administration for the last 4 years, as I said earlier. It's been my pleasure to have that position. I've served under 2 supervisors during that time, and when you're the town attorney, you have to really have a grasp of a lot of different areas of law, not just municipal law, but criminal law. You also advise the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, the Town Board, the Supervisor's Office, all the departments. So you really have to have a handle on a lot of different things. And I think it's that type of experience, the type that I've had, both in civil and criminal law, in private practice, in the public sector, from the prosecution and the defense side. I think that makes me qualified for this type of position. I'm very privileged to be able to run for it. And I know that you have a lot of people to listen to, so I'm going to leave it at that for the most part and just say that I feel that I'm dedicated to my community, having been here my whole life. I'm qualified for this position and have been found qualified by the Suffolk County Bar Association, and I'm experienced in all the different areas that I've practiced law in this time. So with that, I thank you for having me, and thanks for this event.
Good evening. My name's John Scatino. I'm running for District Court Judge along with my 3 colleagues. There are 3 positions open this year. So you'll be voting for 3 judges come November 3rd. Brief background about myself. I lived on Long Island my whole life. I grew up in Setauket, graduated Ward Melville High School, graduated Cortland State College, and then I went to Brooklyn Law School in the evenings, and I worked for a large litigation firm in Garden City. And after I graduated, they kept me around for about 20 years, and I was a trial attorney, mainly with construction cases and insurance cases for about total of about 27 years. And the importance of being in the trenches or being in a courtroom every day is we're dealing with the evidence issues, the substantive legal issues, which are going to be important for any judge as you'll be interpreting the law and also the U.S. Constitution in all of your decisions. And that's something I feel that I bring to the table. A little about my non-legal background. A member of the West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition for almost 20 years. I'm a member of the West Islip Chamber of Commerce, and I was a PAL lacrosse coach in West Islip and Babylon, and also at the club level back when I lived in Setauket. And one other position I handled was for Congressman Rick Lazio. I was on the screening committee for high school students who were applying to the West Point Military Academy. And that I did for 7 years under when Rick was in office. For the last 7 years, I was a member of the Islip Planning Board, where we would hear applications from developers, we'd listen to residents about their concerns, and then for 3 years I was the chairman, where I would preside over the meetings. That was a very valuable experience. You learn how to listen to people, the developers, the residents, because we'd be making decisions on development projects which would affect everybody, not just the businesses, but the residents as well. That's really all we can say. We're actually rather boring candidates. We can't get into the political issues as much as we might like to. We'll leave that for Donald Trump and those folks. So with that, I'll ask for your support on November 3rd. Please get all your friends, neighbors to get out and vote. And with that, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Sem.
Well, thank you, John. I'd like to thank Bruce and the Ronkonkoma Civic Association for putting on this event. These events are so important to candidates, and quite frankly, they're more important to you, because ultimately you'll be deciding who those people that will represent you, those people that will be sitting on the bench in judgment of others. So this is such an important part of our community, and I'd like to thank you for being here. Many of you may know me. I have been a councilman and had the privilege of representing you on the Islip Town Board for the last 4 years. And I've had the opportunity now to achieve a career goal of becoming a judge in this community. I'm a lifelong resident of Islip. I grew up in East Islip. My wife, many of the youngsters here in the back may know her. She's a teacher right here in Connecticut School District. We have 2 children, 11 and 13, and we've made this our home. And that's important because we want to elect people that have made Islip their home, because it's so important that we're taking care of our community. I'm very active in my community. I'm a youth football coach, a youth lacrosse coach, and a youth wrestling coach. I'm not quite sure when I find time to do anything else, but that shows some of the dedication to our community. Over the last 22 years, I've been a practicing trial attorney. I started my career at the law school at Hofstra University in the United States Army. Before I became an attorney, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army as a military intelligence officer, where I specialized in psychological warfare for a variety of special operations units. I had the fortunate opportunity from the United States Army to become an attorney, and I was ultimately stationed at Fort Bragg, where I worked with airborne units as a paratrooper, and had the unique opportunity to work with a Special Forces operational attachment that specialized in anti-terrorism. So I was an attorney and a paratrooper. They used to call us Jag in a Bag. And we used to carry our parachute with a computer and a satellite dish, and we would practice law after we did our first operational work. So that was a privilege to serve our country. I ultimately came back to New York and had the opportunity to work as a special assistant United States attorney, where I was a federal prosecutor, prosecuting major felony offenses down in the Eastern District of North Carolina, and then ultimately back here in Suffolk County, where I was an assistant district attorney, where I worked in the district court bureau right here in Central Islip, prosecuting the same offenses that I might have the opportunity, if you give me the pleasure, of working. I might have prosecuted misdemeanors and violations in the district court bureau, and then ultimately graduated to the major crime bureau, where I prosecuted felonies out here. After that opportunity, I opened up my own law practice, and for the last 15 years or so, I've been a solo practitioner specializing in criminal defense and matrimonial work, ultimately graduating to work in the town board. One of the differences that I think it's important for you to recognize when selecting who has the right skill set to become a judge is the fact that you want to elect trial attorneys, attorneys that have been in the courthouse day in and day out, that appear before all of the judges throughout Suffolk County and Nassau County, because therein our experience develops to then sit on the bench. Sometimes folks come to you and ask to become judges, but they haven't spent any time in the courtroom. So it's very, very important that you elect attorneys that have had that experience. It's a unique opportunity for the 4 of us this year. There are 3 openings. There are no incumbent judges. All of the district court judges that sit currently will be vacating those positions, so you'll have the opportunity to vote for 3 of us. So I'd ask you for your consideration. I will be running as John and Rob on the Republican, Conservative, Independence, Reform, and Green parties. So I'll ask for your support on November 3rd, and thank you very much for being here.
We're now going to have the candidates for family court. We don't have the placards for them, but we have George Harkin and Matthew Hughes. Family court. Okay.
Hi, good evening. Okay, sorry. My name is George Harkin. I'm running for Family Court Judge. Family Court is a place that can be kind of depressing. It deals with custody issues, it deals with visitation issues, it deals with terminating parental rights, determining paternity, it deals with juvenile delinquents. So it's not particularly a happy place, although you do get adoption, so you get a chance to build families there. It's dealing with families in crisis, families in turmoil. And I'm asking for your support to go into that place because I feel that I can do a great job in there and help those families out and help to resolve their problems and rebuild families. Now, who am I? As John and Anthony so clearly put it, I can't say a lot about how I would feel about certain issues or how I would behave when certain things come before us. But I can tell you about myself and my qualifications. First, let me say that there are 2 openings in family court. So I'm up here standing with my running mate, Matt Hughes, and we're coming and asking for your support. Now, I graduated from Hofstra Law School in 1988 and began my career in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. I spent 4 years there, first by prosecuting misdemeanor cases, by moving on to major crime and prosecuting major felony cases. I left from the District Attorney's Office and built my own practice. I first worked for somebody else for a short time and then built my own practice. And from there, I went into the Attorney General's office. There was a new Attorney General. Somebody else had taken over the local Suffolk County Bureau, and they asked me to come in and defend the state in the Court of Claims. The Court of Claims is a place where the state of New York is sued for money damages. While I was doing that, the judge that heard the cases was losing his principal law clerk, and he asked me to come in and be his principal law clerk. Principal law clerk is basically the judge's lawyer. You advise the judge on evidence issues, you draft decisions, you conference cases, and you basically help the judge in his day-to-day operations. And I spent 17 years in that court. I've now moved on to the Supreme Court in Suffolk County. I'm over in Central Islip. I work for David Riley doing matrimonial cases. There's a tremendous crossover between matrimonial cases and what goes on in family court. And while I was in my own private practice, I spent a lot of time in family court dealing with those cases, representing mothers and fathers and the various issues that they had, the trials. I did a lot of trials in there on those issues. Now, who am I personally? Well, my wife and I have been married for 25 years. Again, some of the students that are here might know my wife. She's a 9th grade English teacher at Connecticut, Mary Ellen Harkin. Okay, where did I grow up? I grew up here in Ronkonkoma, specifically 435 Jones Street, right down the street. So it's nice to be home. As I said, my wife and I have married for 25 years. We live in Riverhead in Calverton. We've raised 2 sons. One is 22, graduated from Ithaca College. The other is a sophomore in Gettysburg. And thank God for grants and scholarships, otherwise he would not be in those schools. Now, I have been involved in my community. I've run the lacrosse program out in Riverhead. I've coached anything imaginable, basketball, baseball, football, you name it, I've been there, and I've been out on the fields. So I know what you guys do. I know what the parents are going through every weekend. I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for your help to realize my dream of being a judge. So come on out on November 3rd. I do have some lawn signs out here, so if anybody would like them, please feel free to take them. I have palm cards in the back. Yes, thank you, Charles. And please come out on November 3rd, support me. Bring out your friends, your families, your neighbors, and anybody else you can think of to vote. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Hughes. I'm running for family court. It's one of 2 positions, as George indicated. I'll tell you a little personal background about my personal background, my legal qualifications, and why I'm running for family court. My personal background, I'm married. I have 2 children. I'm a father of 2. My daughter's 10 years old. My son is 6 years old. I'm married. I've been married about 15 years. I currently reside in Huntington, New York. I grew up in the eastern part of Long Island, in Miller Place. In terms of my legal qualifications, I'm currently a principal law clerk to the Honorable Judge Joseph C. Pastoressa, Supreme Court Judge. I've been that principal law clerk for approximately 10 years. As George indicated, principal law clerk is a quasi-judicial position where you basically conference cases with lawyers and litigants to try to resolve discovery disputes, to try to resolve ultimately the case. You draft decisions on behalf of the judge, you research any issues, evidentiary issues for the judge. So it's an excellent position that qualifies you to ultimately become a judge. Prior to being principal law clerk, I worked for one of the largest law firms on Long Island, the law firm of Rifkin Rather, as an associate. I handled municipal litigation, both bringing lawsuits against municipalities and also defending them. Prior to working at the law firm of Rifkin Rather, I worked for the town attorney's office in the town of Huntington as an assistant town attorney, and also as a special assistant district attorney where I prosecuted town code violations in district court. In addition, I also defended the town in terms of civil lawsuits, Article 78 lawsuits, and then most importantly, I started my career in the Suffolk County Legal Aid Society in the Family Court Bureau, where I was a trial attorney. I've tried pretty much every type of case that there is in family court. As Anthony Seth indicated to you, one of the most important things that a judge should have is trial experience, trying cases in the court that he's ultimately going to preside over. And the reason is obviously they become knowledgeable about the law, and you also know the evidentiary rulings that come before the court. So it's vitally important that you elect people that have obviously tried cases in those courts, which I have. Why am I running? I'm running very simply to make a difference in the families of Suffolk County. They are the backbone of our society, and also to make a difference in the children of Suffolk County because they represent the future of it. One of the most important things from a taxpayer's vantage point when you elect judges, one of the most important things is to realize that you want judges that are going to get it right. They're going to make good decisions that are going to get affirmed by the next highest court, which is the appellate division. And why is that? Because when you don't, those cases get reversed, they come back to the trial court level, and ultimately have to be retried, and it's costly to the taxpayers to obviously retry cases. So when you elect judges, it's important that you elect them that are going to get decisions affirmed at the appellate level. With that, I would just tell you that I'm running on the Republican, Conservative, Independents, Green Party, and the Reform Party lines. And I would ask for your support November 3rd. I want to thank you for the Civic Association for having us, and thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have the tax receivers and the ISOP town clerks, and in no particular order.
Again, a word of explanation.
Apparently, I can't do that.
In the town government of Islip, there are lawmaking and administrative positions, and then there are positions such as receiver of taxes in the town clerk's office that don't have lawmaking power, but have very important roles to play. And what I'm going to ask the candidates to do, in case you were wondering about the timing of it, I thank the judges for their brevity. Each of them stayed roughly within the 3-minute opening statements. You folks will have 3 minutes of explaining who you are, what position you are seeking, and why you are seeking that, what your qualifications and skill set prepare you for the office of which you seek. And then I did not get any specific questions specific to your positions, but after your opening comments of 3 minutes each, I might take the liberty of asking you to explain a comment or two, or otherwise we'll move on if that be the case, all right? You'll understand we're going to work from my right to left, and just so everybody understands, I'm going to give you...
All right, which one's your right?
Ms. Castro, we'll start with you. For
Is that on?
tax receiver, I just want- there'll be a little chime after 3 minutes. I'm not going to cut anybody off mid-sentence. I will allow you to finish your thought. But with respect to the time, it's going to be 3 minutes, and there'll be an obnoxious little chime at 3 minutes. You may begin.
My name is Maxima Castro, and I have a background in accounting. I've worked in accounting for 27 years. I'm also working as a bilingual administrative assistant. I've been working as an assistant for the last 8 years. I have an extensive background in accounting. I decided to run because I wanted to make a difference for my community. I'm passionate about my community. We started a neighborhood watch about 6 years ago where we wanted to get our community involved. We wanted to teach them how to advocate for their communities. We started that. We have about 350 members right now that are involved in the Neighborhood Watch. We were able to change the name of our community. We had a derogatory name, a name that to everybody was negative. Everything was negative about the name that our community had. We were able to change the name of our community to Brentwood Community Gardens, where it changed people's mindset. It allowed people to have hope and gave them encouragement that we can make our community better. The reason that I wanted to run is because I've been working in the service area for years. I've been working with people, helping my community, advocating for my community to make things better for us. So I know that I'm capable of doing this job. I have the qualifications in accounting. I've been working with the community for so many years just to try to make things better. I know that we have to change things in the town of Islip to include everybody in our community, not just certain communities. All communities need to be included. I have the qualifications in accounting to run the tax receiver department. I've been working, I've also started my own tax, I was preparing taxes on my free time. So I have the qualifications to run an office. I've run offices before. I've supervised people under me, so I have the qualifications. Given the opportunity, I'm going to make the department friendlier. We're going to use technology to its fullest. We're going to try to make things where people aren't waiting online for long periods of time. We want to work for the people. We want to represent you. We want to do what's best for everybody that's involved, but every community in Islip, not just some. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Alexis Wyke, and I'm the receiver of taxes for Islip Town. And I've had the great honor and privilege of serving you for the last 4 years as receiver. And of course, I was the deputy receiver for a year before that. I'll give you a little background on the office. Of course, the office is administrative. It is non-policy making. So therefore, we do not set the tax rate. We merely collect the taxes and distribute them in accordance with the New York State Real Property Tax Laws and the Suffolk County Tax Act. So because our office is bound by so many laws, we cannot forgive penalty or change due dates. We are strictly prohibited to do anything other than follow the letter of the law. With that in mind, the last 4 years have been incredibly busy. We've restructured the entire office. Many of you know that we have now offered an online tax payment site, website. We had a fantastic response the first year that we introduced it, and it has doubled each year since then. With the introduction of the online website, we've been able to extend the office hours from midnight until 11:30 the following night, which is a great benefit to people who work and come home and want to pay their taxes from the comfort of their home, or since taxes are due at kind of an inconvenient time. It gives you the opportunity, if you're on vacation visiting family, or if you're overseas, to just go online and make a payment from wherever you are. We've also been able to upgrade all of our technology in the office. We have new computers. We've created new specialized ledgers. We've changed over our cashiering system. And recently we've also introduced new banking system into our office, which provides us the opportunity to make sure that when you come in and you pay your taxes, that payment is then deposited the same day. We heard everyone's voice when they said to us, we used to get many, many phone calls saying, did you get my check? Did you cash my check? How many people here made that phone call? And now you don't have to make that phone call because it is cashed as soon as we get it in a much quicker time. Not because we want your money, but because you've requested that we speed up that process. And so not only do we have a responsibility to try to keep up with technology, which we all know moves so fast that by the time you purchase it, there's already an update waiting for you, but we're also responsible for calculating the changes when other companies make changes to their security or to their business. We have to calculate the impact that's going to have on our office and on our taxpayers. So for example, if a bank changes its technology and now your payment comes to us in a different format that it used to come in, it's late, it comes in an envelope without a postmark, we need to calculate that impact and advise you as quickly as possible, which we have done. We've made sure that the website is updated on a regular basis. I look at it every single week to make sure that the information that's on it is timely and has the most accurate and most current information it could possibly have. I make sure that I get out to all of these organizational meetings. I talk to you, I answer your questions. I listen to everyone's comments. Oh, that's somebody's phone.
There'll be that's that obnoxious little timer or something. There'll be time in a 1-minute summary if you have other comments to make, and I'll have a couple of questions to ask.
I'll summarize quickly. It's been a hectic 4 years. We've gotten a lot accomplished, and hopefully we've increased the customer service. We've certainly cut lines down to almost nothing. Anyone who's been there, of course, you know that lines in the office are certainly concurrent with what the weather is. If we have lots of snowstorms, we will tend to have more lines, but even if you end up on a line, that line moves so fast, you're in and out in under 5 minutes. I know I've timed it. So hopefully I'll be able to have your support and be here to represent you for the next 4 years. I've got more plans. I'm adding 2 more cashiers.
That was going to be my next question. Plans for the future.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Take that back.
Well, we're going to give you each candidate 3 minutes. By the way, there are some notepads and pens. Should an idea pop into your mind and somebody said something you'd like to have a point of rebuttal, we can also do that at the end in your summary statements.
Okay.
But be prepared, because the question I'm going to ask all 4 candidates is after you tell us where you've been and why you want this job, you will be explaining what you would do if you get the chance to do that job in the future. So that's where we're going with this line of questioning. All right? For town clerk, Street Fidelity.
Good evening. My name is Ashford Fidelia. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. Just so you know, I am happily married with 4 children, 27, 26, 14, and 6. And I am a licensed real estate broker for over 15 years. I'm a former director of the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority, former senior vice president of Anchor Finance Group, and I am a member of the Long Island Board of Realtors, New York State Board of Realtors, and National Association of Board of Realtors. I sit on different boards. I am the recording secretary for Suffolk County African American Advisory Board. I'm the founding president of HAPAC, and also the founding member and past president of the Islandia Central Islip Rotary Club. With my passion for economic development and job creation, I'm looking to work with the town board. I see that a lot of people are hurting within my industry. A lot of families are just losing their homes. A lot of short sales. A lot of buyers can't afford to buy homes because of the taxes, a high tax rate. So this has affected my business quite a bit. So I want to be able to work with the town board, with the council people and the supervisor, so we can bring more jobs and leverage that sleeping giant. Just so you know, the foreign trade zone is designed for job creation, and it went back to sleeping since I left there. And what I would like to do is tap back into my contacts and bring those jobs into the town of Islip. Suffolk County is designated as a foreign trade zone, and there's a lot of benefits to businesses who are involved in the international trade community. They can actually benefit from inverted taxes, duty-free, and just many different things that are available to them that this town is not taking advantage of. So I would love to try to see how we can bring the synergy between the airport and the foreign trade zone. So I just want to let you know that I understand that this is not a part of my function in the town clerk's office, but this is something that is my passion, and I want to be able to work very closely with the town board so we can make things better for our residents, our taxpayers. My 2 children, Jasmine graduated from Cortland University, and she's a phys ed major. She can't find a job here. She moved out, went to New Jersey. My son, 26 years old, graduated from Morehouse College, and he's majored in finance, and he moved out, and he's in Tampa, Florida. So we're losing our children, and this is the reason why I want to run and be there and be that change. And I'm a pioneer. I like to move forward and think out of the box and create opportunities for our residents. So I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olga Murray, and I'm your current sitting Islip Town Clerk, and I have the privilege of being so for the first term, which I am just finishing. And I'm looking forward to serving you as your town clerk for the next 4 years. My background is I am an attorney, and I started out in the district attorney's office here in Suffolk County, after which I went to private practice and served as a special assistant district attorney, prosecuting issues in the village of Lake Grove, while having my own firm, raising 3 daughters at the time. Then I went on and put my hat in the ring in the political realm and public service area, and became the Islip Town Clerk in 2011, starting my term in 2012. While doing so, I've been very fortunate to find that it is a position that I absolutely love. I love working with the people of the town of Islip, the business people of the town of Islip, and also my staff, who I have to tell you are marvelous people and love serving the people also. We are working right now with hundreds and thousands of transactions every month, working with your money, your resources, and we want you to know that we are accountable with those funds and resources. Since being there, I brought in a computer system that has tracked all transactions that have occurred in the office. What it does is, with each transaction, it indicates where the money's coming from, where it's going, the employee that is attached to that transaction, and also the nature of the transaction. It gives complete accountability of where every cent is going and the nature of the issue involved. With regards to myself, I've also been involved with the professional associations with the administrative position that I hold. With the Nassau-Suffolk Town Clerks Association, I have been voted and currently serve as the Secretary-Treasurer to that professional organization, and I continue to serve in that position to be a more educated and more informed town clerk so I can serve the public better. It is my great desire to continue on in this capacity. It is an administrative role. I do not make policy or get involved in policy-making decisions. However, I am here as a public servant for all of you, and if there is any nature or capacity that I can help, I am here. There are people here in the audience who can vouch for that, and I thank you for your time.
In reverse order, you can hold on to the mic. The follow-up question, having no specific questions, I would ask all of you to consider this question. In 1 or 2 sentences, how would you describe the most important function of the office which you seek, and what you plan on doing in the future to improve that function? The most important function of the office of the town clerk, what will you do to improve that function? Most important duty of the receiver of taxes, and what can you do to improve that function?
Well, with the town clerk's office, it's a toss-up between being the registrar of vital statistics, which tracks all births and deaths which take place in the town of Islip, and all marriage licenses which are issued in the town of Islip. And it's also the function of being the record keeper for all of the organizational governmental functions which take place, and that's where I'll focus. With regards to that, I would be looking forward to trying to digitize and scan some of the minutes and the occurrences that take place, and in doing so, looking for different options and opportunities for funds to do so.
Thank you. Up to 2 minutes to respond. You don't need to use all 2 minutes.
Thank you. The same thing, I pretty much believe in, excuse me, going green, cutting back on paperwork, having more information online, so that you don't need to go during business hours for anything, being able to make forms, prepare forms, submitting forms. I would look to see how we can find a way to streamline the entire process. Having the office very user-friendly, multilingual, so that everybody's needs can be represented. So the documentation is key, and having it electronic would be ideal. This is like my first task. Thank you.
One of the most important things, of course, is to become more fiscally conservative and make cuts and reduce waste, which is something that we've been constantly working on. It's something that we will continue to work on, reducing waste and cutting costs. The other thing is, of course, providing as much customer service and as many convenience options for taxpayers as possible, making sure that we can provide as much customer service at the most convenience for all of our taxpayers at the lowest cost possible. And those are really the two most important things that I'd like to provide.
If I were to be voted into the office, I would do my best to hold the line on taxes. As it is right now, our taxes are too high. Our children, as Astrid had said before, are moving out because they cannot afford to stay here. Our taxes are much too high. We have to hold the line on taxes, continuously not raise them. They were raised 45%. That's a huge hike. A lot of people are hurting because the taxes are too high. The dumping in our parks, we now are going to be forced to pay for that as taxpayers. We shouldn't be able to have to pay for things that we're not responsible for. If I'm voted into this department, I will do my best to be more friendly, to have more diversity. Everybody should be represented. A lot of the communities are underrepresented. We need to be a town of Islip where it represents everybody, and we should not leave anybody out.
We're going to start with you with any final comments, upwards of a minute if necessary. Final comments, final thoughts that you'd like to leave these voters with. And it'll be,
Well, right now, the trust is not there in the town of Islip anymore. We have to bring back the trust, we have to bring back transparency, and we have to bring back accountability for everything that's done. We're public servants, we have to work for you. We're not here to work for ourselves and to serve our own agenda. We're voted in to work for the communities, and every community should be represented. If we're voted in, we're going to be working as a team, not by ourselves. We have a team, we're going to be accountable to each other. And if we have any issues regarding any community, we should be able to go to the town board and address those issues. Because we're not alone. Even though these positions are not policy making, we can go to the town board, to the town council, and bring up any issues or policies that need to be addressed.
Well, it's been a pleasure to serve you for the last 4 years, and I hope to be able to serve you for the next 4 years. I have lots of plans to continue to expedite things. For example, I do have plans to add 2 more cashier windows, which will bring us up to 8 cashiers, which should certainly reduce the amount of time that anyone spends in the office making a tax payment. We have so many things planned out for the next 4 years, and it's been such a great opportunity to be able to come and meet with every single hamlet, talk to all the groups, meet the people, listen to your input and your feedback, what you'd like to see happen. It's been a real pleasure, so thank you.
I would like to add, I would like to change the system with the foiling. Streamline it, see what the problem is, and try to expedite that a lot faster. Have that office to be user-friendly. Have the information expedited as quickly as possible because people are waiting months and years. I've foiled certain documentation and I still haven't received it 2 years ago. So we need to have an answer. When someone goes and files, asks for a FOIL, we should have more or less of a time frame when they should have it, even if another department is handling it, but they should work and communicate more effectively, and so we can have the answer for the people, because the people are always coming in for answers and they're not getting answers. So that's a system that's broken, and I would like to address that. I would also like to encourage you to please vote for me November 3rd. Encourage your family and friends to come out and vote, because I'm a visionary. I'm going to pioneer and move forward and do a good work for you guys. I've done a good work in my past. Google my name, Astrid Fidelia. You'll see that I am very progressive, and I will be progressive in this department and make changes. Thank you so much.
One Clara. One clarification, with regards to the town clerk's office, we are what's known as the filing office for the town, and with regards to that, FOIL applications are filed in our office, just as something as known as a notice of claim, which is what begins a lawsuit against the town. When a notice of claim is filed, the notice of claim is then forwarded to the town attorney's office and processed there. As with the FOIL is filed in the town clerk's office, and then it is processed to the Freedom of Information Officer. Just as with a lawsuit, the town clerk's office does not know the status of a lawsuit, nor should we know the status of a lawsuit. With FOILs, you also need to know and understand that the town clerk's office is the filing office and it is not the processing office. We would be more than happy on any issue to defer you and to refer you to the correct office. I look forward to serving you for 4 more years. November 3rd is Election Day. Thank you.
Are there palm cards and other information? Yes. Should any question have come up in the interim, contact names and numbers that they can reach out to you? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Do we have the council persons?
The next candidates are going to be the 2 seats for the Islip Town Board.
Good.
Is Mr. McDermott? You're Mr. McDermott? Okay. So Mr. Politano? Is he going
Just like to make a quick thing about Mr. Politano. I walked out the door before my phone rang. His daughter, 6 years old, broke his arm tonight. That's why he's not here. He sends his apology. It's a little firecracker, so she was coming.
We certainly sent him our
Yes.
well wishes, certainly. It's testimony to the kind of things these candidates have to go through, being out every night in some cases of the week, yet still having to be moms and dads and business owners and community members. So we offer again our thanks. This is word of an explanation. This is also for the supervisors candidates as they come up later. There have been some questions prepared in advance. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to share your background, what about your background has prepared you and the skill set required for the job at hand. It's a 4-year seat. 2 seats are open on the town board. After that point, just to give you a heads up to start thinking about it, and again, there are pads in case thoughts come to your mind. After the 3-minute opening statements, we're going to allow you 1-ish minute. I say ish because I'm going to set it to 1 and let you go until we have to cut you off. First question is going to be on lawmaking policy. There'll be 3 questions on housing and planning, 2 questions about the airport, 2 questions about the budget process. I know these are a lot of questions and we may or may not get to all of them, but this is the goal. That's why we're going to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes per response. 2 questions on parks and recreation, and 1 question on the environment, and infrastructure and storm preparedness. This community, I can tell you, rewards brevity. So, without any further ado, we're going to change order, but Mr. Cochran, you'll have your first 3 minutes to opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilman John Cochran, running for re-election for town councilman. My family came to Islip in 1840. We're probably the only family who went from Sayville and moved west to Bayshore. I graduated Bayshore High School, went on to Jacksonville University, where I got commissioned as a naval officer, served on the battleship New Jersey, Aegis cruisers, and in 1989, I decided to go in the reserves, where I went 22 years in the reserves for a 30-year career. Leaving the reserves, I started a family business with my father, Cochran Insurance, and at that time I met my lovely wife, Katie, who I'm proud dad of a 14-year-old John Jr. and Connor, who's 13, and very active in the community, teaching or coaching them with soccer, lacrosse, and swimming, which is always a challenge with my boys. I'm community oriented. I'm past president of Bayshore Lions Club, zone leader for the Lions Club. I'm on the March of Dimes charity, Joe Namath charity. I'm also on the Energia graduate, I've volunteered for a lot of the organizations throughout the town of Islip, Suffolk County, and if you can't tell by my Navy background, I'm on the United Way Beacon House, which is a vets organization. I was blessed by Supervisor Croce to start the Veterans Office in the town of Islip 4 years ago. Still running it today, and it's been a pleasure working with the fellow vets throughout the town of Islip. I have had a wonderful experience working with Supervisor Croce and now Supervisor Carpenter. We have a great team. We've been running the town. A lot of challenges. I think if we look back, between Hurricane Irene, Hurricane Sandy, and a couple blizzards, we've gotten a couple major challenges thrown our way. And we, as a team, we look at leadership. And each one of our board members have their individual leadership traits, management, and we've had great supervisors to help us lead this town. It's been a wonderful experience. And one of the best things, too, is to come out to all the different community meetings throughout the town, because the town of Islip is very diverse, and every community throughout the town has their individual issues. So I'm blessed. I hope the students back there are taking notes, right? Okay, where'd I go to school? Thank you so much.
Before we get started, the Civic Board, given the kind of questions that are going to come out, they really are applicable to the supervisor's position as well, whether, for example, on legislative choices, you're one of the 5 votes that will be cast on the town board. Would there be any objection to you folks coming on board and joining the discussion as a group? Rather than ask you the same questions that they asked second round, I think that could be helpful.
Can you come down here, Tom?
Stay on the left side.
Oh, is that how I did it?
Get some
Yeah,
hot water for each of the candidates.
Yes.
The candidate one down here.
Okay.
Thanks. So again, we're having now is a 3-minute opening statement of what is your background, how is that background prepared you with the skill set necessary for the job you see. Before you go, you can just get some water. In as much as we want to try to avoid sideways conversations, the pads are in front of you, or will be soon. Mental line. You will get a 2-minute summary period where, should you would like to respond to something said by one of the candidates, please reserve that time for your closing statement, those comments to your closing statements. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Kate Mullen. Can you hear me?
For those while we have technical difficulties.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Kate Mullen, and I'm a candidate for the Islip Town Council. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your night to come down here. Thank you to the Civic Association for hosting, so that we can get a chance to introduce ourselves to you so that you're better informed when you're making your decision on November 3rd. Just a little bit about myself. I live in Bayport. I've lived there for 14 years. I'm a mother of 3. My children are 13, 11, and 7. I've been married to my husband, James Most, for 14 years. And I'm an attorney. I went to Fairfield University undergraduate, and I went to law school at St. John's University. Right after law school, I got hired by the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, and I worked out here for 8 years in the DA's office, where I prosecuted crimes including narcotics felonies, and Class A1 and A2 felonies, and I did appeals and many other types of cases, basically all litigation. After I had my first child, I left the office and went to private practice for a firm in Central Islip, where I worked for 12 years. And again, I did all types of litigation. Basically, I was in every court in the state. Recently, I left that firm and I went to a New York firm, but I opened an office out here in Bohemia for them. So I'm enjoying a transition in my legal career. And I've decided to run for town board because I feel that this is a time we need a difference. I've never run for a political office. I'm active in my community. My kids keep me very busy. They're in sports, My husband and I are very active in the Bayport, Blue Point community, the youth football, the lacrosse, the baseball league. I'm active in the school district. I'm a class mother, past member of the PTA. And I just want to do good for the community. I want to do good for the town. And about myself, I'm active in all of my bar association, Suffolk County Bar Association, New York Bar Association. I'm a member of the Greater Long Island Road Running Club. I'm a very active runner. I've run 16 marathons. I'm very committed and dedicated. And I feel like I have the education, the training, and experience to make an excellent town councilwoman. And I look forward to serving you in January.
Thank you, folks, for having me. I'm not used to speaking with a mic. I'm a guy that gets out in the audience and gets involved. Quickly about myself, I grew up in a military family. My father served 2 tours in Nam and stayed in reserves. My late brother, who's resting up in heaven now, gave 20 years to the Navy before ending his journey in the planet. I grew up in a volunteer house where my father ran for the fire department, and when the phone rang, he ran out the door. Why I say that? I understand what it is to give back to the community. Along with that, I'm with my wife 25 years, 3 children, 13, 11, and 8. My motto in my house is family first. I come home from work, which is I'm an ironworker in Manhattan. I hang steel all day. I come home and do all the family stuff. On top of all that, I'm the mayor of Brightwaters, and it's a non-paying job. So it's another volunteer spot, which I'm responsible for 1,100 homes, 3,300 people, a $2.8 million budget, all for a volunteer spot. Why? Because I care. Why? Because I have the dedication. The way I grew up in my house, I knew that when it was time to step to the plate and serve the community, it was time. As a mayor of Brightwaters, we did some good things. We balanced the budget. We got off the fiscal stress list. We're just speaking about digitizing the community. Brightwaters was the only town on Long Island to win this grant we applied for. $59,000 to digitize the office and bring it up to the 21st century. That's what we need to do. You know, when people ask me, Joey, I want to ask you a question. I said, shoot. They said, why are you running? I said, thanks for answering the question. I said, it's simple. Because I care. Because I realize when I give speech out there, I try not to use the word I or Joe McDermott. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about the people in the community that want their voices to be heard, their concerns to be listened to, and they want to be part. I want to make sure all of Islip is represented, whether we're in Brentwood, Bohemia, Bayport, Brightwaters. I know we all got kids out here, and we have parties, and we get a pizza pie, right? And if there's more than 8 kids, what do? We tell the guy behind the counter to cut it into 16, because we all want a slice of the pie. That's what I'm about. I'm about treating everyone fair, listening to people's concerns, and being out there. As a mayor of the village, I have a motto: anytime, anywhere. Does it wear me out? No, because that's what I made. I made a commitment. I dedicated myself to commitment. It wears my wife out, because every time the phone rings, she goes, you remind me of my father. And I said, what's that? She goes, he was a volunteer fire department, fireman. And every time the phone rang, he ran out the door. That's what you do. She says, why? I said, honey, I've been with you 25 years. I care. It's my turn. It's my turn to serve you, so that's why I'm asking for your support on November 3rd. I understand. Without your help, I can't get there. But you help me get there, I will help you. And that's why I'm running. Dedication, commitment, and I care about the people. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us here. We are really enjoying this, getting out and meeting everybody in public. My name is Tom LeCarry. I'm an attorney in East Islip. I've been a lawyer on my own, in my own practice, for over 30 years. Before that, I was, as many of us here apparently, was in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. And before that, I was a judicial law clerk for Superior Court in New Jersey, which is the same as our Supreme Court out here. During my career as an attorney, I have prepared 7 different offering plans. Those are the books that you see when you buy a condo or a co-op. It's quite complicated. I've represented numerous people in the court system, and one of the passions that I have, and one of the main reasons that I am running, is because I have seen the way zoning has evolved over the years. It hasn't kept pace with the time. Our zoning was designed in the 50s and the 60s. We are in the 21st century. I have clients, senior citizens, that are renting out rooms because they need to rent out rooms. They are getting charged with the absurd crimes of running a boarding house. I have young couples looking to make their mortgage payment, being charged with renting out a room or a small apartment, even if it's intra-family. I have seen the way the town has applied their zoning laws. I have seen the way businesses have tried to deal with the bureaucratic morass in getting permits to open up a small store. One of my clients, for instance, has been trying to open up a coffee shop for 9 months. 9 months! And he keeps running into roadblocks. Final approval is never a final approval in the town of Islip, unfortunately. I am also running because the more I've looked into things, the more I see that there are sweetheart contracts being given out. Political patronage is being repaid to the people that contribute the most. This has got to end. It's a cycle that we have to end. I am running not as a politician. I was quite happy to slide into retirement. It's not going to happen anymore. I've been running for office, and I hope to achieve your confidence. Thank you.
Got my vote.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak to you this evening. My name is Angie Carpenter. I am the supervisor of the town of Islip. I was appointed March 1st of this year to fill a vacancy that was left when Tom Croce was elected to the New York State Senate. When I was approached about considering accepting the challenge of being the supervisor, I was the sitting Suffolk County Treasurer and had been for 9 years, very active in the financial field. Presently still serve on the board of the New York State Government Finance Officers Association. It was a daunting challenge. It was something I thought long and hard about, walking away from my position as the treasurer, where I had 3 years left on my term, knowing full well that if I accepted this position in March, that I would be facing the voters again in November and asking for your support to run a full 4 years. But this is my town, this is my home, this is where I live, this is where I raised my family, and I know that I have the skill set, I have the passion, I have the desire, and quite frankly the energy to do what needs to be done to bring the town of Islip back to what it once was. The town of Islip always had a reputation of being very, very professionally run, and we're working towards that goal again. We have instituted many practices in my short tenure, and I'm delighted that I have been blessed with the cooperation of the members of the town board. They've been very participatory, and I'm looking forward to that same kind of participation as we go forward. But we brought transparency that didn't exist before. In the history of the town, from all of the research that I could do, we've never had budgets that really presented what the requests were of the departments, what the goals and objectives were of the departments, what they hope to do in the year to come, why they were asking for the money that they were asking for to run their departments. If you looked at the town board budget last year and the years prior, it was a thick book, opened it up, pages and pages of number with nary a worded explanation. It took a lot of work and a lot of cooperation on the part of the department heads, and our town clerk and our tax receiver were very helpful in putting in their share of time and energy in producing their narratives. And when you look at the town board document this year, you will see a document that we can all as residents be proud of. 110 pages of narrative, graphs, charts that clearly explain where we're taking the town, what the direction of the town is, protecting our infrastructure, protecting your assets, our assets, because we as taxpayers and residents of this town, we have assets that deserve to be protected. I'm committed to doing that, and with your support, with us working together, we will get there. Thank you.
Ms. Cochran, you were first, so Ms. Mullen, you're going to get the first 1-minute opportunity to respond to the following question. If you needed to jot down, I'll try to make the questions succinct and clear. Try to answer in the same manner. This has to do with lawmaking philosophy. A lot of these questions are going to be have you or would you, because of some having incumbent status. In any event, when deciding which way to vote on a resolution, what role, if any, would the following play in your decision-making process? Competing constituent views, your own opinions, political party interests. I'll repeat the question. When deciding which way to vote on a resolution, what role, if any, would the following play in your decision-making process? Competing constituent views, your own opinions, or political party interests. You may begin.
That's a simple response for me. If I'm elected to serve the people of Islip. So, of course, I'm going to listen to what my constituents want, and that would be my first priority. Get input from them and make my decision based upon what they're telling me is important to them. My next priority would be how I feel based upon what I know or what research I've done about what is presented before me. Again, as I said earlier, as an attorney, I feel like I have the education and the training to make good decisions and good decisions for the people of Islip. And finally, political party, that's a non-issue for me. I'm an independent thinker, and I will decide based upon what the people want.
Every time you repeated the question, I'll be glad to do so.
That's good. It's never about the party. As Mayor Brightwater, when I pick up the phone as Democrat Republican, the first thing I say is, how can I help you? So forget about the parties, it's not that. Do I have a concern as being a resident? Yes, it does weigh something. But being in the spot I'm in now, I understand that I have responsibilities to listen to the people. So most important, like I said before, it's about the residents. Their ideas, their concerns, their situations. So that would be the first thing to do. But I know as a responsibility, I have to make tough choices where listen to the people of all of Islip, no matter where you live, Brentwood, Sayville, Bohemia. At the end, I know I have the responsibility to make a decision, but it's always about the people. As an attorney and throughout the years, I've had numerous applications before the planning board, before the town board, before the zoning board. And one of the things, I pride myself in is I do my homework. I love to sit down with the people. When I've had people opposing me, I would sit down with them. We sat down with all the neighbors. When we had a 85-unit apartment complex from a converted school, a health club, and 88 co-ops on top of that, there were a lot of complaints and a lot of issues. We sat down, we resolved them. You have to be able to do that, irrespective of your own personal views. So engaging the community, engaging them to sit down together would be the prime goal of any administration I'm involved with. Thank you.
Prior to doing what I'm doing now, I served nearly 13 years in the Suffolk County Legislature. That is probably one of the most cantankerous of lawmaking bodies. So I got a real education in how lawmaking works. But it's very, very simple. You follow your heart and you do what's right for the people. And if you do that, you don't have to worry about how you sleep at night. You don't have to worry about answering to anybody. You do what's right for the people, and that is what I'm all about. Political parties, I'm not even going to say, are at the bottom of the list. They don't even belong on the list. You're part of a political process when you get nominated, and that's where it ends. When you raise your hand and you swear to uphold the oath of office that you're taking, you have to take it seriously, and that's where the politics ends. When I was in the legislature, I can remember when people would walk into the district office saying, you don't ask a person what their party is when they come in with an issue or problem. You're there to solve it. And that's what I'm all about.
I'm all about listening to what the taxpayers, the people that come to town hall, that come to my office, about the concerns of a project that's going to be voted on. I look around the town, down the street here at the Quick Check, where they wanted to put a Quick Check in Bayport. All the plans, the business owner had the right to put this there. All the people came against it. They were more political in their views, and one person at the end of the after 4 hours comes up and goes, you know, we want school buses there, and we have to drive our kids and they walk to the school right away. Common sense. That Quick Check off, we voted it down because we listened to the people. Same with the Pines, same with the project here with the hub. The board that I sat on made some hard decisions with your help, and that's how I view it. Political parties, if you read the newspaper, I'm always in trouble with my own party for speaking my mind, because I hear from you. So that's how I answer that question, sir.
Thank you. Ms. McDermott, this one is going to start with you. I'm kind of combining questions as we go along to expedite it, but they're all really on the same theme. The question is, are you satisfied that all stakeholders had meaningful input into the Islip Pines development, the Heartland project, and the Ronkonkoma hub? Have you or would you vote for their approval? Now, I'm going to stretch that to 2 minutes if necessary. I'll repeat. There are 3 large projects in the town of Islip. Islip Pines, Heartland Development, and not Islip Town, but Ronkonkoma Hub. So my question is, are you satisfied that all stakeholders had meaningful input into these developments? Second part question, have you or would you vote for their approval?
Well, to be fair, not being on the Islip board and only being the mayor of the Brightwaters, I'd like to comment on the Heartland first, because that's in the area where Brightwaters is located about 3.2 miles away. Am I satisfied? No. It takes a long time to satisfy everybody and listen to everyone's concerns and situations out there, whether it be the Sagato's overflow traffic, the schools, or the EMS, or the fire department. So I'm not satisfied. You know, although to be perfectly honest with you, I can't know everything about everything right away because I'm not sitting on the board. But what I will tell you is I'm a guy that goes out the extra mile and does the work. So before I would make a decision, I would make sure I reached out to everybody so I could hear their concerns and situations that they're arising. For me to vote on something without educating myself would be a disservice to you. For me to stand up here and say things that I'm not 100% educated on would be a disservice to you. But what I will tell you, when I'm there, or if something comes up, I will educate myself with that.
Thank you.
The Ronkonkoma hub development is taking a blighted area, and you have 3 governmental divisions that have sat down to iron out the issues. You have the town of Islip, town of Brookhaven, and Suffolk County. I commend the 3 jurisdictions for handling it in that manner. The Heartland, on the other hand, has been solely within the scope of Islip. Even though it's probably one of the largest projects this part of Levittown since World War II, it's something that it's got to go beyond simply the town of Islip. The whole infrastructure has not been established, whether it's north-south road work or east-west access. It hasn't been discussed and it hasn't been resolved. Mr. Walker was looking to maximize that development. It's 9,000 homes being proposed and 655 acres. Islip Pines, which I believe is 150 acres, they're proposing 250 homes. You do the numbers, you do the math. The Heartland needs to be scaled back. The Heartland needs to be developed in smaller sections and not all at once. I think I have 3 phases, but you're going to need more than 3 phases because mistakes are going to be made, and they need to be corrected. I like to compare the Heartland, the developments that are going on to a city called Reston, Virginia. There was smart development in the 60s. And if you look at the acreage there, 60,000 people. 60,000 people in, I believe it's 17 and a half square miles or 110,000 acres. 60,000 people. The Heartland is going to have 9,000 homes. 22,000 people and 650 acres. That has to be addressed. And, well, I guess that's it. Thank you.
As far as the Heartland project is concerned, right now at the town of Islip, I for one have been encouraging the developer to sit and talk to our planning commissioner and have questions answered ahead of time. We have a lot of questions about the issues of the infrastructure, the roadways, Sagticos, and these are not issues or projects that should have to be the burden of the taxpayers of the town of Islip. We need the commitments from the county and from the state of New York because of the sheer volume of that project. To the Ronkonkoma Hub project, I'm sure all of you know, most of you know, that the majority of that project is in the town of Brookhaven. And I was approached about would I be willing, the county executive reached out to me, would I be willing to be part of a planning alliance and join with the town of Brookhaven and the county and the Long Island Railroad in the planning process of this. And I got criticism for agreeing to do that. Political criticism, but too bad. I felt it was important for us to be sitting at the table when the plans were being developed, even though the building is not happening in Islip, what is going to be happening in Brookhaven is going to affect us in Islip. So better for us to be sitting at the table when they're planning the project rather than trying to undo something after it's done. So we've been very active and very participatory, and that's the kind of supervisor I am. I am full-time plus. I am totally committed to doing what's right for the people of our town.
I guess I'm a lucky one because I voted on most of these. So when it comes to the Pines, I voted no at first. It was an overkill by the developer. We had the community come out. We had all the organizations. I think you guys are there too. It was amazing how the civics and the chambers came together to voice their opinion about the Pines. We reserved our vote. The developer came back, rearranged the whole project, got the community involved, kept us in line, and I'm proud to sit there and say we work with the community and the developer. Project hopefully works the right way. The Hub project, you know I've been here at this meeting several times because our concern at Islip is your traffic. You're in now a focus here in Ronkonkoma where you have dual tracks, you have a major infrastructure going on, and the developer in Brookhaven at first thought we don't have to deal with Islip. Well, thank you for Supervisor Carpenter heading the charge and making sure we're all coordinated because that project is going to affect everybody from the Lake Ronkonkoma all the way down to Sayville. So we are working on the Vets Highway Corridor. When it comes to the Heartland, I'm going to say I voted for the final CEQA. We still have to vote on that. That's going to be coming up. But we have, for my friends in Brentwood, Bay Shore, and the communities of Deer Park, Babylon, Comac, it's infrastructure. This deal that he wants to do, doesn't want to deal with the town right now, he's going to have to deal with us because with that, I'm working with the Brentwood Legion and Brentwood Fire Department. Those are the two busiest emergency service in the New York State. And they have to have a voice at the table about how their headquarters are going on. So yes, that developer has a lot to prove to the town of the town board.
I'm going to keep my comments brief because, like Joe, I wasn't in the boardroom when these decisions were made. And if I am elected and I am present when they're being made, I can assure you that my first priority is going to be the people and what these developments what effects they have on the people and the communities surrounding them. What I know about Heartland, it is an extremely complex development, and the developer has been planning this for, I believe, 13 years it's been going on. And, you know, it's just, we have to get this right because it's too important to our town. With respect to the Pines, again, it seems like everything has come together and a lot of teamwork was involved. And again, if I'm a member of the board, I'm a team player and I'm willing to work and listen to the people and make my decisions based on that. And finally, the hub, again, it's not really taking place in Islip, but the effects are going to take place in Islip, and I think that that is extremely important. And again, the community input is something that we have to take into account and we have to listen to, and I promise that I will do that if I'm in the boardroom when those decisions need to be made.
Okay, Mr. LaCarrie, I think we're up to you beginning first. This next question, or multiple part, is about the airport, MacArthur Airport. It says, briefly explain how you would balance the need to expand flights in and out of MacArthur with the quality of life concerns raised by residents in the airport's flight paths. Part B, would you be in support of adding international flights in and out of MacArthur Airport?
All right, years ago, we had a development on Knickerbocker Avenue, and that was one of the concerns of the homeowners. We had met with the town, they agreed to help try to at least direct the flights away from the development. The process worked. The airport has been a source of income for years. It's no longer a source of income, it's a source of losses. We're trying to revitalize it. We need to revitalize it by bringing in the right people. Of course, international flights is just one of those elements. The hours of operation need to be specifically enforced. I know it's an FAA rule, but I think the town can have its input and limit flights, let's say 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. until 10:30 or 11 p.m. Again, that would be with the community input. The international flights is a hopeful sign that we will grow and we will generate incomes for this town, but it's got to be, you know, within reason. And within reason really depends on you folks.
You know, it's ironic, one of the first community involvements that I had governmentally was when the supervisor of the town of Islip at the time. I was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, had a business in the community, and he asked me if I would serve on the Part 150 Noise Study Committee for Long Island MacArthur Airport. And there were many, many, many meetings, and people were not happy with the airport, with the noise. Those that were in a certain radius of the airport were given central air, they were given new windows, they were given insulation, to help mitigate some of that. That was a long, long time ago. And in the intervening time, planes are quieter, planes are smaller, and our airport is poised to get back to what it once was just maybe 6 or 7 years ago when we had nearly 40 flights in and out of MacArthur. Now we're down to less than 20. And it's interesting that one of the few things that people ask when I see them out there at meetings and everything is, what are you going to do about the airport? They want to see more flights, but it's always got to be done with a sense of balance, that we're not going to negatively impact on the community that's there.
As you all know, I was the liaison for the airport since getting elected 4 years ago for Supervisor Croce, and now working with Angie. The airport airlines relationship is a very challenging one. They have a business model that is efficiency, smaller planes, lighter planes, routes. As we know, we go to Baltimore. That's the Southwest model. These are their plans, and they see the future of Islip. And we had to prove to them a couple things that had to be done for them to now reinvest into our airport. Prior administrations got in fighting over cement and a couple other issues, which brought the couple of airlines saying, yeah, we don't like to deal with the town attorney, or we don't like to deal with that administration. We've changed that. Right now, we are poised. If Senator Schumer comes up and approves the FAA plan, the master plan for our airport, we will extend runway 33 for safety reasons, which brings us over more toward Vets Highway, so we keep a lot of the flights out of the residential areas. And with that, we're going to have the FIS facility being designed. I got with Tom, the customs in the airport. So they're there, and we're going to grow off that, and the airlines love seeing that. So it's going to be a very interesting future.
With respect to the question about bringing in international flights, I'm in favor of it. Anything that can bring tourists, business, and generate revenue for the town is a plus for the citizens and the residents. However, I do understand you have to be sensitive to the people living nearby the airport. And if we can limit the times of the flights and maybe the flight patterns, and so that we can appease and make the residents happy, and we can come to a collective understanding and agreement where we can satisfy everyone at the same time, taking that airport and making it something that it really truly can be. It's a gem that is underutilized, and it is a regional airport, and I think that everyone in this room would love to be able to take a flight from there rather than going to Kennedy or LaGuardia. However, as we all know, the flights sometimes aren't available, so we have to go elsewhere.
In regards to building at the airport, one thing I realized as a union iron worker over the last 20-something years, you can't stop building on Long Island. You can't stop it. We're just growing at a great rate. I'm in favor of international flights if it's done in a proper manner to protect the people around the airport. I'm also in big favor of trying to get more direct flights, because every time I fly out of there, I can never get a direct flight. So that's one thing. I just lost my train of thought. But I was up in Vermont. There's 500,000 people live in Vermont. Then I come home here, and there's 350,000 people live in Iceland. I said, that is a shame that many people that want to go somewhere can't get direct flights or international flights. So I would be in favor of that, because one thing I know, we can't stop the growth of building on Long Island. Thank you.
There were more questions that we have time to respond to, so I'm going to speak for the candidates and tell you, I'm going to announce, we're going to go through a 2-minute summary, 2-minute if you need a little bit more, no problem. I'm going to read the questions that have come to us. At your desire, you can choose to address any one of them that's on your heart with anticipation of your 2-minute summary, if given the privilege of serving the residents of the town of Islip, what you would hope to do for the future. But I'm going to say that you have cards and numbers available should any of the folks here want to get in touch with you. Is that material available? Well, for the sake of time, the Civic Association has asked me to kind of combine the closing statements with kind of a hodgepodge of questions. You can choose to make your final statement in whatever way you wish. If you'd like to address, these are the following questions that did come in. About budgeting. What areas have you or will you look to save on the cost of running the town? These are huge questions. You can speak for a long time on that. And what areas have you or will you look to increase revenue? So those are the budget questions. Incomes and expenses. Parks and recreation. Responding to the, are you satisfied with the progress in restoring Roberto Clemente Park and other areas of contaminated by illegal dumping? Parks and recreation. What has been done or could be done better to publicize Islip Town's cultural and recreational resources? What could be done to better publicize those concerns? Environment, are we satisfied that we are prepared for the next major storm coming through? Are we prepared to pave our roads and to remove debris? There were questions about recycling. Is it cost effective? Water treatment, water quality, invasive species such as bamboo. Are we open to creating town code to limit those kind of things? So these are felt needs of the residents that came here tonight.
Just yes, no answers?
What you can do is, I'll give you 3 minutes.
Could I have an hour?
There were obviously many more things.
I would absolutely love to answer each and every one of those questions, and I'll touch real quickly if I can, remember some of them. But to the issue, and I'm going to go with the tough one, Roberto Clemente Park. That was a disaster, a true disaster, and we in the town of Islip, all of our residents were victims of that crime. And as a supervisor, I knew when I made the decision to accept the offer to come here to the town that I was going to have to be facing it, and I faced it head on. And we went through a very strict bidding process. We were able to go with the lowest bidder. The team that was put in place, Eric Hoffmeister and Inez, did an incredible job of working with the community, keeping the community informed. We had a bilingual representative at the Brent Lloyd Senior Center there so that the community could just walk in and ask questions if there were any. And we got through that. We got through that under budget and ahead of schedule. But it doesn't mean that it finishes there. We are going to go to the next phase, which is the total restoration of the park. We're waiting for the plans from the DEC. We've got to follow the rules each and every step of the way, and we are prepared to do that. But I'm looking at that as an opportunity to look at all of our parks. I've directed the Commissioner of Parks from the get-go to develop a master plan for all of our parks. Someone had said when the park is done, it's going to be the best park, in the town of Islip. No, it's not going to be the best park. It's going to be as good as every other park in the town is, because every community has a right to be treated equally. And to recycling, we've got a very active program. We've got the STOP program. We've got the RAP program. The town of Islip really was a leader in the recycling movement back when Frank Jones was a supervisor and we had the infamous garbage barge. I remember those things, I was there. But I just want to say, in wrapping up, I'm not sure how much time is left, but
About a minute.
I want to tell you what an incredible honor and privilege I feel it is to be elected to represent the people of the town of Islip, to be elected to represent people that trust in your judgment, they trust in your motives to represent them and make decisions that are going to affect their everyday lives. And so much emphasis is put on the presidential election and senators and everything, but local elections, your town board, your town tax receiver, your town clerk, these are the people that are doing the business that affects your everyday life. So the fact that the Civic has put this forum together and that so many of you have come here this evening when you could be home relaxing and enjoying your family, but you're here because you care about your community. And I care about our community, and I very much want to continue to represent you as your Islip Town Supervisor. Thank you.
I first want to thank you all for being here, and Bruce, crew, great job. Thank you, because you all do a great job this summer with all your events at the lake. Awesome. So I really want to see our parks take it to the next level. Part of the things we've done in the last 2 years with our budget is to make sure we look at our infrastructure going forward. And that infrastructure has been challenged with the recent storms. Hurricane Sandy, Irene, and our blizzards took a tremendous toll on our roads and our equipment. So we have, this last capital budget that Angie stepped into for guiding us her first couple days in office, addressed that. And we're going to address it more because that storm last week realized that we have a great OEM in 401 that we've improved every year for the last 4 years, that we're in touch with all different kind of agencies, federal, state, local, county, and local, and the local towns around us. So very important for us to plan for the next emergency. So Angie and us on the board right now, we're working on getting the dune restoration project, Montauk to Fire Island Dune, major project because it affects the infrastructure of all the South Shore of Long Island, not just Islip. But we have to get easements out, so that part of emergency planning, as well as putting our infrastructure for our vehicles and our staging areas, very important, what we learned, lessons learned from the last couple of storms. When we start looking at our parks and some of the, I'm a conservationist. We started the Bay Bottom leasing. I know I've come in here several times. I know my fellow Teddy, my fellow Grunt, likes going over to Lantique a little. The Bay Bottom program is 17 farmers right now. We have over 5 million oysters, clams being harvested in the Great South Bay by our local, around the town of Islip farmers. This is an unbelievable project. We're getting national, worldwide recognition, and it's all about cleaning the bay. Each oyster cleans the bay. So
1 minute.
a project like that, started by the town board, has started to really look back and getting the bay to an area where it was when we were all growing up. We had all the clammers. So that is a project that I'm very proud of, and it's going to go forward. hopefully longer than I'm around the town board for. And when we start looking at the budgets, I think that's the hardest thing that we do as a board member, because we understand that we want to try to keep our taxes. Our taxes are lower than the library and the fire department or in the range. You don't care about that. You see the overall tax bill. What we try to do is keep it down, but we have to plan for that future. And I think we've done a good job about that, but we have a lot more growing and also planning to do for this next budget, which we're working on. So again, I want to thank you all being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out, and I just want to remind you, why am I standing up here? Just like you guys who are here, I care. I have 3 kids at home, and I care about their future, and that's why I want to be on the town board, to be in the decision-making process. And you can't complain if you're not involved. So I feel like I need to be involved and move the town forward to the next phase. With respect to the parks, as Angie has said, a tremendous job was done in doing the remediation on that Roberto Clemente Park. But we have a long way to go with the rest of our parks, and I know personally because I use them. My kids use them. That's going to be a priority if I'm elected. I would love to be involved in the parks and helping take care of them, planning, any ideas with input from the community. With respect to the budget, you know, I'm a pretty conservative person, and with respect to spending, you know, I'm sure everyone here sits down and pays their bills, and if they don't have money to buy something, they don't buy it. And I'm going to take that same practical, common sense approach to the budget. If we can't afford it and it's not necessary, cut it out. And for you guys, the taxpayers, that's a priority. And I feel like if regular citizens are doing that at home, why can't we be doing it in the government? Because we answer to you, and it's your money. We don't have a credit card. We have to be accountable for all of our spending to you. And finally, just be assured that I'm going to use my common sense and my experience, and I'm going to listen to you, the taxpayers, and make my decisions based upon what I feel is right from your input. And thank you again for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, folks, for coming out. As I listened to the questions, I was like, man, that's a lot of questions. How am I going to remember? But when I heard the question that came to my mind about parks, I said, there it is. And why do I say that? Because the future is our kids. And if we don't take care of our kids, they'll leave Long Island. The 2 biggest problems we're having on Long Island are the millennials moving off and affordable housing. Now, affordable housing gets a bad name because it gets a bad name. But if some kid comes back from college and he leaves, the parents can't afford the house. They need somewhere to live. So without a doubt, the parks and what happened in Clemente Park and the parks around bothers the living daylights out of me. What are we doing to our kids? We have commercials out there, play 60. What do you mean play 60? When we were younger, we were out for 60 hours. Now we're trying to get a kid to go out for 60 minutes. But where are we going to put the kids if our parks are dirty? The parks are the most important thing. The other thing I'm passionate about is preparedness. When I became the mayor of Brightwaters, we had 13 inches of rain. I lost a 110-foot canal. We didn't have open DEC permits. I had to ask for favors from people so our roadway wouldn't wash away. It was $1,000 a foot. Right off the budget, I had to take $110,000 out of the budget and fix the canal. I believe in being prepared. The more prepared you are, the easier you can sleep at night, and when something comes up, you'll be ready. The biggest supporter I have in my life is my mother. I see her raise 5 boys, sent them to college, and kept the house together. My mom just had a second heart attack. I went up to Glen Cove Hospital this morning to see her. And she said, oh, Joe, you got a big month coming up. I said, what do you mean a big month? I said, what's in November, Mom? I said, there's Veterans Day. And I always say, thank all the veterans that did something that I couldn't do. So thank you, John, and thank any veteran out there. I said, then there's Thanksgiving, which is the biggest family holiday in my house. 1 minute? The biggest family holiday in the house. And she goes, no, Joey, it's election day, it's your day. I said, Mom, it's not my day, it's the people's day. She goes, there you go. Putting yourself last, putting the people first. I said, Mom, that's what you taught me. Take care of the people first, and they'll take care of you. And that's what I believe in. Family first. take care of the people. That's why I stopped what I was doing. I ran to Glen Cove. I took care of the people, the person that took care of me. And my father says, you know, Joey, all the years I put in the service, not many people thank us. I said, every day I thank people. I thank people for doing the things so we can stand here, talk back and forth, walk the walk, talk the talk, and be ourselves. Putting people first is what I'm all about. And I'm asking for your support on November 3rd, Tuesday, so I can come out and work for you. To make you proud that if you vote for me, your vote is going to a good cause. Thank you for your time, and I enjoy standing up here and answering questions. And after this, I'll be around if people want to shoot the breeze, ask me more questions. Anytime, anywhere. I'll bring that motto to town of Iceland. I promise. Or as my mother would kick me to...
I love hearing the passion of an Irishman. It's almost as good as the Italians. But all of you, I'm sure, will agree on one thing. Clemente Park should never, ever have happened. People were asleep at the helm, at the wheel. There were commissioners. The commissioner was under indictment. The commissioner left the gates open. 1,500 trucks were depositing their debris all through the night. Clients of mine called me, not knowing why they were calling at that time, but they were complaining to the town. No one was listening. It should never have happened. I have visited a lot of the parks in the town of Islip, and you know something? The money is not distributed evenly. Depending on where you go, you will have one park up on Boston Avenue, I think in Illinois. Nice park that was designed by a community activist. 2 swings. 2 swings. You go up to the edge of Pilgrim State, beautiful playground donated by Disney. It's at the far end of the park. No access, no road. You have to walk several hundred yards at the edge of the woods. Think that's safe for our kids? No way. The assets of the town, as limited as they are, will have to be better distributed when it comes to our parks and recreation. I want to leave on a positive note. I'm a fireman over at Kismet Fire Island. I've been doing that for 20 years. And I believe in promoting this town, whether it's Ronkonkoma, Fire Island, or any other part of this town where the vineyards are, where the Maritime Museum is. It's not really promoted by the Iceland Tourism Bureau. And with all that we have here, the airport, the hub, our beaches, we have a world-class resort. We have a world-class town. And I want to keep it a world-class town and make it great once again. Thank you.
On behalf of the Civic Association and all those who decided to stay until this time, I want to thank you for the time and the commitment you did to the campaign trail. Good luck to you all.
Thank you.
The 50-50, I want to win this.
Oh, yeah.
50-50, you know?
That's what he was waiting for.
That's what I'm waiting for. I would have won, you know?
I would like that.
I know.
Thank you. I can leave for that. Take care.
Are we allowed to go now?
No, we have to leave.
We want the 50-50.
All right, let's go.
We're gonna do that.
What are you doing?
It's not me, it's them.
You're killing me, darling. You know? I used to have a wife
The
like
Civic
this.
Association has a little bit of business to conduct, but the candidate, please feel free to hang out in the lobby. If anybody wishes to see with them, walk with them on the way out, you're free to do so.
Well, I want to thank all the candidates and all the judges, everyone who came. They did a great job. And thank you, Mr. Trupia. He does an excellent job every year. Thank you again. We have just a little bit of unfinished business. We need to vote on the budget that we talked about earlier. So,
okay.
You want to take this?
I know, I got my own thing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of the evening, I know we'll do the 50-50. We presented the budget. Were there any questions regarding the 2015-2016 Ronkonkoma Civic budget?
I don't know.
They're on the table over there.
All right, you got it.
They're all gone?
Was that Harry?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept and approve the budget.
I'll make a motion.
So we've got Ted Imbassiani and Lisa Kennedy. Thank you. We have the 50-50. Are we ready for that or not yet?
Yes, we have the 50-50.
Presently, the 50-50, the prize is $72. Anybody else, last chance on 50-50? Going once? Going twice? Tonight's 50-50 prize winner will take home $72.
Don't look
Which
at
they
it.
can promptly use to purchase tickets for the scholarship breakfast in December.
And the number is? Mike, I need this. 572-7716. 572-7716.
Hey, Mark.
All right.
I'll sell tickets, give me the money.
We're going to donate, we have our first donation to the scholarship breakfast. Thank you very much for your generosity. We'll put the money absolutely towards the breakfast.
Okay, all right, anything else? We have a couple of seconds here to talk about anything, any open business, anything that's on anyone's minds. I know I'm going to get beat up in the back. A couple of things from some wonderful folks. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Has no motion. Second, what's your name again? Rich, last name? Got that? Second.
Fine. Thank you everyone for coming.
You survived, you made it.
Yeah, I thought that there was...
No, that's it.
I was like, oh my gosh,